like anything, it needs careful. You need to be careful with it. But the idea that Sonic Superstars is doing this, right? The idea that they're doing stuff like that. And the idea of this game, right? Because the boss battles in this game is so good. So good. It is so good. I love this game a lot. And that's the crazy part is I like these two, both these games need to be like appreciated in different ways, But like it's the funny part of like PlayStation 5's nominees. If you were to actually have nominees for PlayStation 5, it would be these two games. Easily. It would easily be even like Persona Tactica, because Persona Tactica is like about the Demi Kids stuff. And that's probably like that's just like been the most that's been like a really insane thing for 2023. Because you think I'm not even critical on the Spider-Man game that much, because the whole idea that they put behind Venom is actually, it's a pretty good idea, but it's just like you have the critical people of Spider-Man. The problem is Spider-Man's had too many good video games. All the old Spider-Man games always out trump the new Spider-Man games. The new Spider-Man games can never compete with the old Spider-Man games. The old Spider-Man games were just like developed really good. But yeah, that's what actually, like, I was like, if you were, when you get it from me, that's the thing. Whenever you buy a video game system, I'm going to make sure to get you like the games that you would want to, like play on your system, that you would actually want to go and play on your video game system. And that's kind of like the grueling task that it comes with. Persona Tactica has just been very, oh gosh, Persona Tactica, man, like they really went in on that game. They brought it to where Persona 5 should have been. It's just like a very good. It's like one of those games. Like, oh my gosh, I have to own this game, or oh my gosh, I have to play this game. It's one of those games. That's the whole atmosphere behind, like, Persona Tactica. So many times of saying atmosphere, but it's just like the whole idea behind it. The thing too is Persona Tactica makes you happy. Like video games, like a video game should make you happy. When you're playing a video game, it should make you happy. And Sonic Superstars has a thing with it that it brings the brain power. It brings the power of the brain. And it has a different feeling, and it's the different feeling has been good. It's been hard for me to even try and measure against, try and be against it, because like the whole feeling behind the gameplay elements that they did with Sonic Superstars is good, and it's strange. It's strange and it's good. And that's why I always keep talking about Sonic Superstars, But the thing too is there's also like there's even this Sonic Frontiers was the soundtrack that they added to Sonic Frontiers was a pretty cool idea. It's a pretty cool idea, but like yeah, it's been crazy. I don't understand why PlayStation's at this route. I don't see why they're at this route. I mean, but like I could kind of see it through the Persona Tactica, because Persona Tactica, oh my gosh, the whole entire Shin Megami Tensei series. If you're a gamer, if you're an actual video gamer and you're playing a video game, you kind of want to have a world that's cool and like video games, like has everything you could want from a video game. And you kind of also want to like branch to where you'll like look at other content. You'll look at the previous titles of Shin Megami Tensei. That's what Tactica also, it signifies itself. It signifies itself from so many video games because it's going in a good step of a direction. It's even going to different parts of people who like McDonald's, or like people who like different things. That's the whole thing that I've seen with Tactica, and I love Tactica. I love Tactica. I love Tactica a lot. It's like but that was the whole idea of why it's like I said, delay the game show too, because you're not really grasping, okay, you're not grasping a good idea of what kind of games you want to go against, what other video games, right? And even like, because what I can do is I can channel things in, like the best moments that I have with Spider-Man, right? Like the best moments of Spider-Man. Like, but you have to go really core into Spider-Man, to understand Spider-Man. You have to go like into the cartoon of Spider-Man, because there's two series of the cartoon that they were like beginning with the cartoon. And they had they did the spider when he was turning into the monster, they did that right. Spider-Man, you have to be very, very critical because Spider-Man 3, right, the movie, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 are all movies that people will go back and rewatch, But you have to Spider-Man has just too many good things about it. Has like like an old Game Boy game that was like a 2D Game Boy game, and that's one of the best Spider-Mans ever is a Game Boy game, because it was doing a lot of good things for that. Another good Spider-Man game is it's like a multi-plat, is the Ultimate Spider-Man, like the whole overworld to that. So that's why Spider-Man's the new Spider-Man that's came out. It's a good game. That's why I'm saying they need to kind of delay the show to relook at that game. But it's a good game. But the new Spider-Man game is it's not good enough. It's not like saying to a person that wants to play a video game, it's not saying enough to them. It's not saying the right amount. And that's why you've had so many people being critical of it, because they expect when they buy a PlayStation 5, okay, when you expect when you buy a PlayStation 5, there was the expectations were really high for that Spider-Man game, because Spider-Man 64 and PlayStation 1, that was a good. So there was a huge expectation around all that, with that Spider-Man thing. And the movie was really good. The Spider-Man movie, that was very good. The new Spider-Man movie that they came out with, that was a very good movie. So that's why everything was kind of like with the PS5 Spider-Man game, right? Now, Tactica, I'll tell you why Tactica would be in the top categories of PlayStation 5 games, okay? Why and how it gets up there is the thing that Tactica does well, that I've seen that it does well. It's not just the secrets, it's not just the stuff it does with does it's not secrets. It's not the gameplay. It's not just even just the gameplay. It's that they make it fun, they make it expansive, okay, so they make it expansive to where when you're seeing it or somebody else is seeing it, they're going to see it in a different way, so you see the clear depth that comes from Tactica, okay. And PlayStation people, that's what's kind of driving them nuts too, in a way, because what's driving them nuts about that, all right, what's driving them nuts about that is that's just how it is. I mean, Shin Megami Tensei is a very hard game to go against. Now, the Final Fantasy game was also pretty good. It was pretty good. All the things that the Final Fantasy game was doing, and Baldur's Gate was good. But the thing that Tactica did so good, okay, is Tactica went to a voice acting role. It went to. It's very hard to compete with many voice acting roles. You got so many voice acting roles that you are competing with. It's unimaginable. Like half the sounds, the musics and effects of everything around you that you have to face, right? But Persona Tactica reaches to the reason that people actually play video games. It actually reaches there. It has a simple way, and it does also a thing that I think is really good is it does a simple way, okay? A simple way of storyline telling. You know what's the crazy thing when you actually like look back at culture, right? If you look back at Shin Megami Tensei, Apocalypse and 4, both on 3DS, right? And even Soul Hackers, right? If you look at those times and eras, people love the crap out of that, man. We love Devil Survivor. There's not one person that would not shut up to you and tell you how much they love Devil Survivor, So there's Devil Survivor. Shin Megami Tensei is a powerful series. It's just a very powerful series. But like when you go to like the time frame, okay, and it matters too. When you go to the time frame, it's like the Shin Megami Tensei Apocalypse executed well, right? So already Persona Tactica is going not only into hefty shoes of facing all kinds of products around it, right? It's having to try and be in the shoes of what, and that's very hard to do because Apocalypse is just like a masterpiece. Apocalypse is a masterpiece. 4 is is a hidden gem. Soul Hackers is very good. Soul Hackers, everything. There's so many things to Shin Megami Tensei that's good, like Nocturne. So when you're thinking of a game to actually play on your video game system, or like you're thinking about playing a game, that's the thing that you get with Tactica. You just get the idea that that's the game you're gonna want to play. Also, that's the whole thing behind PlayStation people, though. In general, if you were to like ask a bunch of PlayStation people, okay, so a bunch of PlayStation people. And I enjoyed the stuff that they did in the Final Fantasy. I thought what they did in Baldur's Gate was very unique. The new ideas that they had for Baldur's Gate, right? But the thing that Persona Tactica is actually doing right now is it's being mysterious, it's being confusing, it's being entertaining, it's being what a video game's supposed to be. It's correcting everything about Persona 5. Persona 5 but Persona 5, you don't be too critical towards Persona 5 because Persona 5 had to be pushed out, it just had to be pushed out. But Persona 5 Tactica is kind of like it's kind of like a revision of everything Demi Kids, all kinds. It's like a revision of it's beautiful. What's beautiful about Persona Tactica is it is actually living up to what they had in mind. They had this mind of making a very good anime, like making an anime that would relate to people, not just people who watch anime, but would relate to everybody. So that's what's so hard about these categories right now. And the reason I'm able to see what's in Sonic Superstars right now, okay, the reason I'm able to see what's in Sonic Superstars and the idea behind Sonic Superstars is because I don't just let the things that I like and enjoy, right? Not because I enjoy Demi Kids a lot, right? So I'm a big fan of Demi Kids, right? But the things that I see from Sonic Superstars, okay, the things that I actually see that come from Sonic Superstars is a way of thinking not just about other things, right? But Sonic Superstars also has showing that there's still something else, that there's better games on the horizon, that's the great thing that Sonic Superstars does so well. And it takes even like the idea of adding like Legos, like the Lego gameplay, which is, the Legos gameplay is hilarious. That's another funny thing that people would like, is they would like the idea of like that they have like the Sonic Legos was funny to begin with. And but the fact that they can still add the Sonic Legos into the Superstars, it has a decent enough replayability to that like, so basically the person gets to choose how they want to play Sonic Superstars. They get to choose which way they want to play the game, or do they want to play the game? Do you want to play the game this way, that way? And that's always a pretty good thing to have for your video game, right? I don't think like I think it was hilarious this year because they were critical on that first person PlayStation game. They were critical on that, and that had very good environment. That the environment ideas that it had for it. Even Talos Principle 2 came out of nowhere, and it's here. Talos Principle 2 is here. So I feel like they just don't care enough about the show. I don't even feel it. I know they don't care about the show. They don't care about the branch of video games. They don't care about that. It's supposed, you're facing Pikmin 4, you gotta put a PlayStation game that's gonna be able to go against Pikmin 4. And the weirdest thing about Pikmin 4, okay, is Pikmin 4 was kind of like a project that you think was not gonna happen, That's the whole reason that Pikmin 4 has even gotten attention. From me when it comes like as the overall winner for Nintendo. Is Pikmin 4. I'll go back to Xenoblade 3's DLC, just to relook at it. But the thing about Pikmin 4 is Pikmin 4 decided that when they were going to add a new character. So the first time in Pikmin 3 when they added a new character to Pikmin 3. See, this is just trying to get you the idea of this, okay? Ignore the fact of just like the category of it being Nintendo or whatever. See the idea that they made Ghost Pikmin, but when they made Ghost Pikmin, they made it different than the Flying Pikmin. Because when the Flying Pikmin was introduced, it was more towards the Pikmin series, right? But when they added the Ghost Pikmin, okay, so when they choose to add the Ghost Pikmin, they added it with heart, creativity, a different feeling to the game. And the whole entire Pikmin fan base loves it. dude, they love it and they play like there's a whole entire fan base to Pikmin, right? So the Pikmin series has their own fan base, right? And Super Mario Wonder is a very good game. Is very good for all the little puzzles and ideas that they have behind it. But that's the nucleus. That's where the nucleus comes from. Is it's like they could have not they could have had Pikmin 4 not even come close, right? They could have had Pikmin 4 just be like another Pikmin game, But they decided that they were going to add everything that they could, and the final boss, come on, the final boss of Pikmin 4, that's pretty brutal. That's brutal to many people because, how many people do you know that have dogs, right? A lot of people that own dogs, right? Okay, so and so the art of what's shown in something. See, I use the Nintendo side just to show you behind this Persona Tactica thing that's going on, because PlayStation needs to have, when PlayStation has a game, the game has to be a video game that you enjoy playing, But if it does not have like any variety to it, or if it does not have that amount of like different, if it doesn't have an art style to it, if it doesn't have a style of art to it, then what are you playing? What the heck are you playing? You're not a video game. So I made this previous video and I was laughing so hard at like even the idea of when it got people's attention. Why have I gotten your attention so much on this, right? Okay, let me tell you why I've gotten your attention so much on this. When I played Recompile, okay, it wasn't for how much I love video games. It wasn't for the fan idea. It wasn't like the idea of what I'm a fan of, what my hobbies are, what my interests are, right? When I played Recompile actually brought out the reason I play video games. It brought out like still like a glimmer of hope for me to play video games. It had a little bit of hope that would make me say, I'm gonna play video game. I'm gonna actually turn on a system. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try and do this. So I've over years, I've changed my perspective, and that's how I'm able to get to these good video games. That's how I'm able to see them through. I've accepted different platforms into my head. I've accepted different things that I need to see, right? Because one of the things you also have to see is you have to see into the advanced ways of what makes what makes a person happy. What makes a person feel like they actually got content, and what makes them get into it. The turn-based angle, by the way, is one of the hardest angles ever when it comes to crafting a video game. Turn-based can be pretty hard because you only have so many. And you're trying to live against Devil Survivor. You're really trying your best to live against Devil Survivor. That's what it boils down to. You're trying to live against Devil Survivor. Just feels different, right? You're trying to live against maze games. There's a ton of maze games. Do you know how many maze games there are? Oh my gosh! How about you go and take the time to like look at every maze game? There's a ton of them, dude. There's even good maze games that are indie games. There's like indie games, games that are not even like main titles, and they are maze games. So either you put up or you shut up, right? And I think it was crazy how they put up and they made me shut up. That was the whole thing behind Persona Tactica, right? Persona Tactica had to tell me to shut up because I'm very critical on Persona 5. I'm actually critical on Persona 5 because Persona 5, it faces like very hard things. It faces Ishtar. It faces really things that people enjoy about Shin Megami Tensei, that they actually enjoy about Shin Megami Tensei. Like it faces Digital Saga. It faces the things that people like about Shin Megami Tensei. Okay, and people love Shin Megami Tensei for the one reason that you get so many people loving Shin Megami Tensei is it's not just if I like Shin Megami Tensei or if somebody likes Shin Megami Tensei. It's the fact that Shin Megami Tensei has like this cool world that you can play the old Shin Megami Tensei. You go in there and you have your own little world. It's your own little world. It's not like somebody else's world. There's literally a person I know that plays the Shin Megami Tensei games, and they have a different perspective from me, and I have a different perspective from them. And we're both playing the same game, but like they have a different approach to what they like about the game. And you have to accept when you're wrong too. That's the thing too. If you don't accept when you're wrong, I accepted when I was wrong because I'm just like a big Soul Hacker Shin Megami Tensei guy. But first, when they came out with Shin Megami Tensei Apocalypse, I was a little, indifferent towards Apocalypse. At first, I was like, I don't know if it can really live up to the hype it needs to live up to. But then somebody else talked to me and showed me and said, "Hey, Apocalypse is not as bad as you think it is." You only get to the new ideas or the new things that are around you when you put in the work, when you put in the effort. If you don't put in the effort, if you don't put in an idea, if you don't put anything, if you don't put any kind of research, if you don't put any of that, it shows. It definitely shows. Devil Survivor 2 is pretty creepy. Have you ever tried to look at the differences between Devil Survivor Overclocked and Devil Survivor 2? You should look that up sometime because that's pretty crazy thing that they do there. It's pretty messed up, dude. It pretty much did you know there's even the arguments with Soul Hackers 2? There are some arguments to Soul Hackers 2 because there are some good parts of Soul Hackers 2. So when Persona Tactica came out, it was kind of like it was a deep blade. There was a deep blade coming to stab them in the eye. There was a whole idea of getting stabbed in the eye, basically, because when it comes to like Shin Megami Tensei fans, but like if you bring anything that's close to what Demi-Kids is, if you bring anything to the animated series of Demi-Kids, and you take that and you make it even close to what it is, or even better, you're gonna get talked. You're gonna get talked enough, So PlayStation 5 has had a silly scenario where just Persona Tactica is what you would play on your PlayStation 5, That's the scenario of what's at. But like it was kind of expected that would happen, okay? And the reason that would happen is people get mad at PlayStation. They do. Do you know how mad people get at PlayStation? They get really mad at PlayStation. I got mad at PlayStation for quite a while because the whole thing was the whole idea behind PlayStation was like when you got those experiences of playing Klonoa, right? or you got like different experiences that you were. That's the PlayStation that people remember. Okay, the PlayStation that people remember is Ape Escape, or it's like them. It's like it actually feels like PlayStation, you know. It feels like PlayStation. It doesn't feel like something. So if you sit and you try and talk to somebody about PlayStation, right? It was very annoying through all the time of PlayStation. Even the Killzone thing could be pretty annoying to a PlayStation person. And you're probably like wondering, why was the Killzone thing annoying to, the PlayStation 3 era? Why was that annoying to somebody? Because when you had PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, you had Xenosaga. You had a whole entire different thing from PlayStation. You had PlayStation showing that it could do it. But now it's that's just the situation you're in, That's the situation of like it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's like the Okami, right? Okami's a fun game to play. Matrix Path of the Neo, that's a fun game to play too. The deer hunting games on PS2, those are very fun to play. Very fun to play. So if a PlayStation fan is not seeing that, if they're not seeing a big title like that, or if they're not seeing something that captivates them, right? And they're not seeing that, then it becomes an issue. Then that's when it becomes an issue. A PlayStation fan is not supposed to think of like Dreamcast, right? Okay, they're not supposed to be like thinking about Dreamcast and Enemy Zero, because the whole idea that went into PlayStation had a lot of good ideas. There's so many good ideas. Your brain kind of races at all the ideas that they were doing. They were doing a bunch of decent ideas. They made SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Notice how I mentioned the number, right? They made a good idea on SmackDown versus Raw 2007 with the sticks, the actual controls of the game. So they're it's not like when it gets to it, it gets to the fact of it gets to a crazy fact that they're just like, can we please get back PlayStation? That's the thing. So you have to think when if a PlayStation game is going to compete against the other titles of the games, right? If PlayStation's going to go head to toe with Microsoft and Nintendo, right? They have to have a game that says what it means to be a PlayStation fan. If it does not have a game of what it means to be a PlayStation fan, that's where you're at. Now, that's how I'm able also to look beyond it. I've had a pretty good year with video games. I've had a good year of video games, just me in general. But if I was to see through, if I was to see through that, and then I had to like actually get you to purchase a game and play a game on your PlayStation 5, and give you a good idea, I'll give you a good idea. I'll give you a good idea of that. But if it's crazy because the Spider-Man movie just is good. It's such a good movie. It's a pretty good movie, that Spider-Man movie. So what it does, but it does not cooperate with the PlayStation market. It just doesn't cooperate with the PlayStation market. Now, also, when people are critical, they just because they enjoy the stuff with Venom, right? the Venom wings, Venom and his wings, does not mean they don't hate everything else, you know? Because that's like one small part of like the Venom and the wings. And it's kind of hard because you're having like Spider-Man, Nintendo 64, and PlayStation 1, which were doing the Venom and Carnage thing. So to only have like a brief point where you have Venom with his wings being kind of like, you know, the idea, that's their whole entire that's the encompass of it. That's why. But PlayStation most likely is trying to figure out something from this right now, you know? They did the Venom wings part, they did that very good. But they didn't do it like, you know, good enough. And it's very hard to do good enough in a video game world. And that's kind of why think about critically. I don't look at whether I like Nintendo, whether I like Sony, whether I like Microsoft. You know, I don't look at them like that. That's kind of like why I've been harsh on Tears of Kingdom. Okay, so I'm harsh on Tears of Kingdom because it's like, it doesn't really say Zelda to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't say Zelda. If it can't say enough of Zelda, and I'm thinking about these older Zelda games, you know, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be like, okay, that's just, you know, if it doesn't have any of that, and then that's Spider-Man's at a cruel part. The cruel part of what Spider-Man's at is that Spider-Man has to have good gameplay, has to have good overworld, it has to have good acting, good story. Spider-Man has to have so many things going for it, just like Tears of Kingdom. Tears of Kingdom has good things going for it, but it doesn't have enough good things going for it, you know? Tears of Kingdom has some good things going for it, but not enough. So I'm like, my brain gets fried. My brain gets fried with the ideas of like, you've had major expectations from Final Fantasy VI. You've had major expectations of a video game doing good stuff, you know? The Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VIII is normally an easy code. If you're ever reviewing video games, it's an easy code that you like look at because you like look at those two games and they're different in different ways. And that's kind of like an easy little code that you look at. Oblivion, think about what gets somebody talking about Elder Scrolls Oblivion, right? Over Skyrim. What gets them to talk about that, right? So it's an idea. It's a little idea that it needs to be like, the game needs to be a video game, dude. If the video game is not a video game, your show is gonna suck.